Chun Haejin, the strongest assassin of the Orthodox Murim's righteous heavenly alliance. Haejin loses his life as he tries to escape to find freedom. And then, the divine cult is immortal. May all demons submit. Congratulations on your recovery, third young master. He was reincarnated into the body of Murim's public enemy, the third young master of the demonic cult. The conquest of the demonic Murim by Chun Haejin, the strongest secret weapon of the Orthodox Murim, begins now.
A place on a steep cliff. There was a robed traveler who was fighting. He was surrounded by a group of people, and the travelers responded by fighting with them. The cloaked man slashed at his enemies relentlessly, cutting down countless numbers of those he had already finished. He did this because freedom was at hand. All enemies were killed without mercy. If there is still something that hinders his freedom, then he will not hesitate to fight. The enemies were helpless with him. It was impossible for subordinate soldiers like them to face this man, because he was named Chun Haejin, the world's best assassin, and one of the strongest of the 10 martial artists in Murim. Haejin also looked very tired. In his tired state, he still had to finish off the many enemies in front of him. But he didn't just give up on his freedom and started fighting again. During his life, Haejin was just an assassin who always hunted his prey, and that was based on orders from the leader of the righteous heavenly alliance. Therefore, he wants to be free from all that and wants freedom. Now he looks tired and injured. He was exhausted and seriously injured, but he would not give up his freedom. Haejin is heading to his hiding place to rest. Apart from fatigue and wounds on his body, Haejin was also hungry. He lay on the ground because he couldn't stand it anymore. Suddenly, there was another assassin who was targeting Haejin, and the fight could not be avoided. A fierce fight ensued between Haejin and the assassin. Haejin could only dodge attacks carried out by his enemies. The opponent is so skilled in using the aura sword that he can cut trees from afar. It turns out that Haejin's opponent is the strongest assassin in the southern central plains. He is one of the 10 strongest martial artists just like Haejin. But Haejin was not afraid even though he was hungry, injured and exhausted. The fight continued, with both of them carrying out one fatal attack. And the one who wins this fight is Haejin. With his fast and vital attacks, he can easily finish off the assassin. When the fight ended, Haejin knew that someone was watching him, and he didn't expect that it was the secret demon queen. He also looked surprised when he met the woman. Elsewhere, the elder of the righteous heavenly alliance, young Ilriol, ordered his troops to follow in Haejin's footsteps from the previous battle. In this unfavorable situation, Haejin has to fight that woman. She is the secret demon queen named Quack Sokayo. This woman is an assassin who was also sent to defeat Haejin. But Haejin can't run unless he fight it. Sokayo is actually 60 years old, but because he mastered the aging technique, he remains young. Sokayo was sent by the Steel Blood Fortress to take him, because Haejin mastered the martial arts of the 9 sects. Sokayo made an offer to Haejin if he gave her information about the martial arts of the 9 sects and the righteous heavenly, he would let Haejin live. But that is not an option. Sokayo tells Haejin about blood parasite, that the life and death of Haejin are in hands of righteous heavenly. Blood parasites can be removed by Sokayo, but with condition of information regarding the 9 sects of martial arts. Sokayo seemed to have succeeded in influencing him, but it turned out that Haejin had expelled the blood parasite 5 years ago, and he needed a lot of effort to do that. Haejin immediately started the fight by releasing all the strength remaining in him, and Sokayo wouldn't just still silent. The fight was unavoidable, Haejin with his messy body and blunt sword. Then Sokayo, with his strength still at its prime, carried out an absolute attack simultaneously, thus experiencing a very powerful aura explosion. The powerful attack reached its climax and Haejin was defeated by Sokayo. At the same time, the elders from Righteous Heavenly came and immediately attacked Haejin simultaneously. Haejin fell in the hands of the two of them with a disorganized body, and now he couldn't do anything with his body so broken. Finally, Haejin lost in front of his enemy, without being able to live normally and freely as he wanted. In a heavenly demon divine sect, there was a young man who was seriously sick and looked very thin. Maybe this is a second chance. Somewhere heavenly demon cult sanctuary. Someone was bowing to his master, call the young lord of the divine cult. They confirmed that a third young master disappeared tonight. At the same time, Haejin dreams about his friend in the past who wants freedom. but he will die because of the parasites in his body if he betrays heavenly righteousness. Hajin woke up from his sleep, and he was born again as a young man, and someone came. It turned out he was his servant. Hajin was so shocked that he became a young man who had woken up from his coma for 6 months due to Kai blockage. And the servant tried to explain what happened to Hajin. It was as if he couldn't believe what happened to him. Then he concluded that he had experienced reincarnation, because he still knows the memories before he was brought here, when he saw he met someone whose name he didn't even know. Then the person knelt down to him and called Hajin the third young master. This man then reported something to the guard of the first royal of the heavenly demon cult named Mudam. He reported that the third young master had woken up from his coma, but he had lost all his martial arts knowledge, and what they will do to Hajin. Mudam seemed annoyed to hear the news of the third young master's return, but he said not to report to him again until 3 months after the closing ceremony. In the Muram world currently, there are 3 strongest groups in power, namely Righteous Heaven, Steel Blood, and Heavenly Demon. However, among the 3 groups, Heavenly Demons are the most strongest in Muram world. Hajin doesn't believe that he was still given a second life, but he doesn't seem happy about being resurrected in the Heavenly Demon sect. At night he used stealth techniques to look around, and the news about the third young master being used by Hajin had a bad image. He planned to escape from this place, but currently he had a weak body, because he had just recovered from a coma for 6 months. First he has to restore his body by doing meditation, getting rid of small and rotten danjian from his body, because the 8 meridians were extremely chaotic in his body. Next he expelled the turbid energy from his body, using a boundless technique that he learned in his previous life to survive. Every day Hajin just lay in bed. Only the doctor and his servant visited his place. But he had a reason for doing this, so as not to appear suspicious and still not be careless. They are planning a bad action against Hajin, who now uses the name Xiaoryang. But that didn't work because day by day, the recovery rate of a person improved, and they are planning something again. The one who planned it was 4th young master Hong Yuamoon. Meanwhile, the Hajin conditions are getting better. He can already practice martial arts, even though it's still a little. Hajin did everything he could to restore this bad body, and his servant came to give him herbal medicine. Suddenly, when Hajin drank the herbal medicine, he remembered something terrible, namely blood parasites in his body, and it seemed he could not escape the curse. It's just an illusion or thought from Hajin himself, who still can't escape from the previous curse. And he doubted his present freedom. When Hajin was changing clothes, suddenly someone came up to him. But she was a woman who forced her way into the Hajin room. But Hajin didn't know who this woman was. When the woman approached him, Hajin immediately ran out of this bad situation. He couldn't get out because was blocked by 2 big men. Finally, the door was closed and no one was allowed to enter this place. It seems like this woman really wants to talk to Hajin. This woman was not normal for him, and Hajin asked his servant Manhwa to come out for a moment and tell her who the woman was. He didn't really know who the woman was because he wasn't the previous owner of this body. The woman is Hong Yorin. She is the younger sister of the 4th young master, and she is quite talented in martial arts. Manhwa tells Xiaoryang's relationship with Rin, and it can be concluded by Hajin that their relationship is just an ordinary relationship, and Hajin told Manhwa to rest. Hajin enters the place and says hello, and Rin is surprised by the friendly attitude of Xiaoryang, who used to be so grumpy. And Rin started discussing the contract regarding wonder drug investment with Xiaoryang. Hajin saw the contract and was so strange because he knew that this was a bad act done by Rin to him, by paying some losses as compensation during healing, and how easily Xiaoryang signed this contract surprised Rin. This is also to improve Xiaoryang's reputation, and after all, he will also leave this place. The signing of the contract was complete. Hajin knew of the bad intentions that Rin had for him, such as making himself an obedient, loyal dog to this woman. Rin seems crazy about respect and money. So Xiaoryang told Manhwa to tell the royal guard to prepare a carriage and decided to meet the Demon Lord. Xiaoryang wanted to ask the Demon Lord's opinion on whether this contract was fair to him. However, Rin looks scared because just making a contract is already a violation and will impact her big family. Then also punishment for Rin and Xiaoryang. But Xiaoryang doesn't care about his own punishment. Xiaoyang rushed to leave, however. Rin told him about leadership, but with a body like this, it was impossible for Xiaoyang to lead. He immediately denied it. Rin didn't know what to do to avoid meeting the Demon Lord. Xiaoyang, without thinking straight away, told Rin to tear up this contract because it was harm him. Hajin had arrived at the Demon Lord's place and immediately met him. The Demon Lord was getting ready to change clothes and was seen talking to his bodyguard. The guard told Demon Lord that the third young master Xiaoyang wanted to meet him, and the Demon Lord looked a little surprised to hear this. The Demon Lord ordered his guards to take Xiaoyang to the Demonic Judgment Pavilion. The guard seemed very surprised to hear this. In another place, the doctor was surprised to see Xiaoyang's condition getting better day by day. Due to his body's fast regeneration speed, the affected blood vessels had recovered in just a few days. Hajin seemed to know what the doctor was thinking about him. It must be something bad. And he responded about the high recovery potion from the doctor. But for Hajin, it looks strange. Hajin looks like he should try the medicine because it might help his body recover quickly. And finally, he will meet the Demon Lord. Demon Lord is probably the strongest person in the world Miram right now. It might be dangerous to meet him now. If Rin didn't act by giving her stupid contract, he wouldn't have met the Demon Lord. Andra informed that the train was ready, and Hajin was prepared to meet the Demon Lord. Hajin had arrived, and he was told to go with the guide to the Demonic Judgment Pavilion. He was confused about what kind of place it actually was. The Demon Lord was waiting for him there. Hajin headed straight for the spot, and he saw many high-level fighters watching him at the moment. Hajin must be careful in this place. If he behaves suspiciously, his life is at stake. He had to stay focused as if he already understood this place. Very unexpected place that was previously so scary. When opened the gate, you saw a beautiful and pleasant forest. Hajin suspected that this place was an illusion, and this illusion was a high technique. And he saw someone standing there. Hajin immediately approached him, and strangely he moved not because of his own will, but as if he was hypnotized to walk there. Step by step, he walked towards there, like going through life and death. His instincts as an assassin began to emerge that this place was very dangerous. But he had to face the current Demon Lord, the successor to 9 heavenly demons. With a face that looked nervous, Hajin climbed the stairs and immediately met Demon Lord Li Chongsang. Previously, someone had entered the Demon Pavilion. The first was an unknown student and a general, but both of them were very sad. The unknown student died and the general came out with his head up. Now the third young master is the third person to meet the Demon Lord in this place. Will the third young master come back alive? And Hajin started meeting the Demon Lord. Hajin finally faces the Demon Lord Li Chongsang, magic master of the Lord of Thousand Demons. Li gave sake to Xiaoyang, and it tasted very good. Then he asked about his meeting this time. Xiaoyang wanted to ask Li for help. After seeing the Demon Lord, who was once an assassin, looked humble in front of him and afraid. Then he talked about the wrong things in front of him. Hajin wanted to leave this temple and Li complied with this request. Unfortunately, he couldn't read Li's expression and what the Demon Lord was actually thinking in his head. Li thought Xiaoyang wanted to leave the temple because his body was weak and could no longer compete as a martial arts expert. But Hajin tried to explain. Xiaoyang explained everything he said to Li, and in essence he recovered, but his martial arts knowledge disappeared. He needs fresh air outside by leaving the temple. Li was still silent. Li took Xiaoyang's request coldly, and Hajin also thought that asking Li for permission to leave the temple was ridiculous, and he tried to give him another goal, namely meeting his master. Li doesn't seem to like Xiaoyang, who wants to go out and meet his master. Xiaoyang suspected that his desire to go out for his master made Li the Demon Lord suspicious. The body of the third young master Xiaoyang is Hajin. Hajin was very confused and afraid if something happened. He wouldn't be able to fight a Demon Lord with a damaged body like this. Li sent Xiaoyang, and he'll send someone in 3 days. But Li's answer made Hajin confused, and his question about leaving the temple remains unanswered. The Demon Lord returned to his place and asked his guards about what the third young master did after waking up from his coma. As Xiaoyang has done all this time is to recover. Li thinks about meeting Xiaoyang before, that current him is very different from the time before he was in a coma. In the past he was seen as a treasure, but Seoryang he is now looks different. The Demon Lord's instincts said that a Seoryang had changed instantly after his resurrection, and he ordered his guards to send Seoryang to the Gotchokrim forest. Day after day passed, and Hajin was sent by the Demon Lord to the Gotchokrim forest. This made him very annoyed because he breathed fresh air, but it didn't feel good. His frustration peaked when he was sent to a completely isolated forest. When Hajin complained, suddenly a mysterious man came and reprimanded him. This person is very obedient and upholds the status of the Demon Lord, so no one can insult the Demon Lord. Seoryang explained to the man that he came from the palace. When Seoryang introduced himself, this man also introduced himself. He is the personal bodyguard of the third young master, Ma Dongpul. Afternoon arrived, but Hajin still couldn't get out of this forest. It's not without reason why Hajin wants to get out of here. His instincts say that something bad will happen when he uses this body, and he should now think normally. Hajin thinks he won't be getting out of this place anytime soon. So before the time comes, he must strengthen himself with this body and live as a Seoryang. Because Heavenly Demon Divine places a high value on strength, he must use his martial arts knowledge to achieve all of that. Ma suddenly came, and suddenly it made Seoryang very surprised. Ma is worried about the young master's condition because he hasn't had anything to drink or eat for 2 days. Finally, Hajin decided to meditate using the boundless technique to straighten his body and soul. The Kai flow he felt different. Now his cultivation level was level 3. But in his previous life, he was at 4th level. Hajin was a little surprised about this body. He can quickly reach level 3 and maybe soon level 4. In this case, the body has experienced a Kai blockage, and which means Seoryang is a genius. In other words, Hajin could get all his powers back in the near future. Now Hajin is trying to raise his Kai energy to the 4th level. Finally, he had reached level 4 in his Kai energy release, and the functioning of its organs is much better than the age of this physical body. Since then, he has eaten well and slept well. His strength as an assassin king returned. One of the powers is called hypersensation, a power he had built up himself from various fighting experiences. Ma comes to tell someone that the monsters are more aggressive at night, and he decides to go back. Hajin was sure that he would become stronger in this genius body. But on the way home, Ma felt a presence that deeply disturbed his mind. Hajin started testing his strength by running through the air, climbing from tree to tree, and it looked great thanks to his boundless technique. But Hajin wonders if he should learn the techniques of the Heavenly Demon Divine in addition to his assassin techniques. Like the original owner of this body, namely Seoryang, he asked Ma about martial arts, whether any of his brothers studied martial arts other than the demonic sect. Ma Dongpul tells Seoryang that if one of them doesn't learn demonic martial arts, Li the Demon Lord will not be happy. And he immediately sent Dongpul with him to the library. Dongpul spoke about third young master to the first guard that he needed the secret text of the demonic arts. They suspected that Seoryang had lost their memory because his actions after waking up from a coma looked very different, as the Manhwa had told him. The first guard thought he was still the same Seoryang as before, so he gave the key to Ma Dongpul, and immediately took 3 or 4 secret texts from the library. The first guard told Dongpul that the solitary bamboo grove was very dangerous, and Dongpul's job was to tell someone about it. The first guard was curious about what the third young master could do in the solitary bamboo forest, and that was the second test of the Demon Lord. Dongpul gave 17 books to Seoryang, and he couldn't help but learn the demonic arts from all those books. And there are books that must be returned within 3 days. Among all the books, there are 3 very secret books, namely about the strongest martial arts of demons. But Seoryang didn't know about this, and it made Dongpul doubt that the third young master had lost his memory. Seoryang tried to tell Dongpul that he had lost all his martial arts knowledge and had a Kai blockage, so he had to start all over again, and asked Dongpul to help him. Evening came. Dongpul was on guard outside and Seoryang was reading a book inside. He had to make sure that no one would disturb him while the third young master was concentrating. Hajin's assassin technique prioritizes purification, but it is different from the demonic technique which prioritizes destruction. However, basically the training method for demonic techniques is the same as the assassin method. which focuses on attack over defense. Currently, it is impossible for Hajin to master the 10 best demonic arts currently, because his Kai has not yet adapted. And all he could do now was strengthen his Dark Shadow Kai using the current 10 demonic arts. The first thing he did was awaken his senses. Hajin sharpened his senses using the boundless technique, and from afar he heard a voice approaching him. Hajin thought it was Dongpul who had returned, but he was wrong, and it turned out to be something threatening. Hajin got ready. Hajin was attacked by something big, but he managed to avoid the attack. Then he was surprised because break through the defensive wall, and it turned out that what was attacking him was a big monster. It turns out that what attacked him was a large chicken monster with 3 heads, large wings and 6 legs. He was surprised by the size of the chicken, and the chicken monster was also fast in attacking, thus making it difficult for Hajin to avoid it. On the other hand, Dongpul is searching the forest carrying a weapon for the 3rd young master. At the same time, Dongpul smelled blood from a distance and felt that the young master was in danger. On the other side, Hajin was still fighting with the big chicken, and he threw a punch, but it was blocked by the monster. When his hand was grasped by the monster, he responded with a left-hand punch and hit the monster. So that monster uses a sound-blowing technique which causes the Hajin to bounce. Hajin could only hold the attack from Mutant Chicken, and if only he had a weapon, then he could have anticipated it. But at the same time he had an idea with the bamboo around him. Then Mutant Chicken attacked Hajin, and he was able to avoid it. He managed to avoid the Mutant Chicken. Avoided it by jumping into the air, so he could freely attack the Mutant Chicken with bamboo he was holding, then stabbed it hard into head of the Mutant Chicken. But unexpected, Mutant Chicken had not yet lost, and Hajin received a crushing attack from Mutant Chicken. He was bounced so far that he hit the wall hard. Then Hajin wouldn't stay. He would immediately start to unleash his true strength. He wanted to try out his new powers with the Mutant Chicken. And Hajin prepares to make a surprise attack on Mutant Chicken. Hajin released his demon technique called Heavenly Net 6 Power by sharpening his Hypervision with a function of speeding up thoughts and slowing down what was in his vision. This movement looks fast in eyes of the enemy. Through his sharp eyesight, he found the Mutant Chicken's weak point and started executing it from the spear he was holding with full power. Finally, Dongpul came and was worried about the young master's condition. But the fight has ended between Xiaoyang and a mutant chicken named Azure Lotus. Dongpul was a little surprised because the young master managed to defeat this mutant chicken alone and without injury. Apart from that, Xiaoyang wanted to ask Dongpul for an explanation regarding this forest, which was causing his life to be threatened.